Hello everyone, welcome to my channel ASP.NET Core, and today I'm going to show you how to perform CRUD operation using Angular in ASP.NET Core. So just create a new project and select ASP.NET Core Web API, ASP.NET Core, and here we have ASP.NET Core Web API, and just I want to say that student info. Just I want to create a student info.api project. So just create it, and .NET 6.0 longer supports, so just create it, and also you can add the lower version, that is 5.0. so just create it, and here we have. Okay, so here we have a student info.api project. So the first part is related to student info, that is models. So just add new models and add a student model. So here we have a new class, and that class name is student, and add some properties in the student class, and these properties are, here we have ID of the student, name, date of birth, and date of time. Use control period key to resolve the namespace. And in the student we have some properties like ID, name, birth date, email, contact, profile image, and gender ID, as well as we have a gender table. So just click quick and action menu and generate type in the new file. Class is a new file, so here we have a gender, and address is also there. So just resolve. So here we have a address, so just resolve. Also add a new class, that is address class, and in the gender class we can add some properties. So here we have these properties like that, gender ID and the title and the description of the gender. So just save this, and the next one is the address class. So here we have a address, that is the student ID is also mentioned it here, integer ID, and the physical address and the postal address also mentioned it here. So here we have these properties of the address, ID, physical address, postal address, and the student ID. So just save this, and the next one is to use the data access layer. So here we can add a new folder, that is data, and in the data we can add a new class, that is the application DB context class. So here we have add a new class, and the class name is, as usual you know that we always choose application DB context class. So here we have application DB context class, and the code inside in that application DB context class, that is the application DB context class and inherited with the DB context class. And here we have a constructor of application DB context class, application DB context, with the base class options, and here we can add student, gender, and as well address. So just resolve namespace using API models, and all these are problem resolved. Now after that you can install the latest version of Entity Framework Core. So just open your added project file. So here we have a item group, so add in the item group, where here we have some packages, like the package reference include Microsoft Entity Framework Core.SQL Server package 5.00, Entity Framework Core.Tools package, that is 5.00, and private assessed all, runtime, build, natives, these are the files, and the swash buckle also 5.6.3. so here we have a projects also include, so restoring packages from the internet connections, and here we have. So just resolve that problem by using control dot key, and here we have a using Microsoft Entity Framework Core. So the problem is resolved. Now after that we can make a connection string in app settings.json file. So just open it, app settings.json file, and create a new connection at here. Just paste it here, connection string, and the server is local DB MS SQL, local DB, database is student DBI API. So here we can use student info DB. So here the database name is student info DB, and trusted connection true, multiple active set results is also true. So just save this. Now open the startup.cs file also, and here we can register the services. So here we can just after that we can initialize that thing like service.addDB context, that is application DB context. In you can say register your connection string in startup.cs file. So application DB context inside in the data folder, use SQL server. So package is already installed in your project, so just use control dot using Microsoft Entity Framework code and that, and the connection string name is matched with your app settings name. So student connection, and here we have a student connections. So okay, that's fine. Now after that you can add a new folder, that is the repository folder. So just repository folder, and in the repository folder first of all add a new interface. So just add a new item, and here we have an interface and the student repository, and inside the student repository you can add some functions. So here we have some functions like get all student async, get student async by their ID property, and get all genders by their asynchronous student exist or not, and update the student by their updating student view model. So just create also a view model class in view model folder. So here we have delete student async by their ID property, and update student view model to create, and you can say that add a new student in the student model. So here we have, and just resolve the student class with the task of type. So just using system.collections.generic type, and the problem is resolved related to the generics. And also we can use control dot by using the namespace errors. So student info.api.models. So here we have, and the next one is also adding more like the system.threading.task. So all these are the problem resolved. Now after that you can add a new view model for the update student view model. So just add a new view model folder, add a new view model folder, and add a class that is update student view model. So view model, add a new class that is update view student view model, and here we have, you can add some properties. So here are some properties related to the name, date of birth, email, contact, profile image, gender ID, physical address, and the postal address. So just resolve this issue, date time using system. So now save this. Now after that you can implement your repository by using the save button, and here we have to save and save. Okay, just open the student repository and resolve the namespace related to the update student view model. So api.viewModels. Okay, so the problem is resolved. Now you can make to build your project studentinfo.api to build it. Okay, now the next thing to implement your repository. So just add a new class, and the class name is student repository. So just add it here, and add these properties also iStudent repository, and implemented with the iStudent repository. So here we have iStudent repository. So these are the iStudent repository. Implement interface is already implemented. Add student, update application DB context. First of all, resolve the namespace. So use student API, studentinfo.api.data, and the problem resolved. Now after that you can use task. So using studentinfo.api.models, and again threading, system.threading.task, and update student view model. So just use studentinfo.api.viewModels folder, and here we have any async method. one by one I will resolve one by one I will discuss all these methods. So first of all, resolve the problems, namespace related problems dot way are also there, link. Okay, so now the problem resolved related to the iStudent repository. So first of all, create a add a application DB context class inside your student repository folder. Now after that you can see that add student with the update student view model. So first of all, create a new student model, and after that initialize the model by using their view model class. And here we have a address to insert the address by using their model, and the model is student model. So after that we can make some changes in using the context class. So delete student is also there. So first of all, find the student, and after that remove the students. And similarly we have a exist method. So by using their context class we can check any student existing in the existing or not in the database by using their any async method, where expression is there to check the ID of the student. And the next thing is the get all gender async, get list of the genders by using their context.genders.toList. And get all student is also there by using the context.student, and also include the gender as well as the address. Now the get student, so with including the gender and the address. Okay, so here we have a update student similar to the add student, but update student we have a ID property also. So here we have a student from DB context student. First of all, find the student from the database, and after that we can check the student from DB is not equals to null. Then you can make some changes in the existing student by their view model class. So here we have a repository of the student related informations. Now the next thing is to implement a controller inside the controller folder. So before adding the constructor, first of all add some dependencies in the startup.cs file. Just after that the connection string. So add their dependencies like iStudent repository and student repository. So using system.info.api.repository. So here we have. Now after that you can add a student controller as well as the gender controller. So add a new controller and select API controller and empty controller, and here we have a students controller. So select students controller, and in the students controller we can add some action methods. So here we have a complete student controller code. So student controller and iStudent repository is there. So first of all, inject the dependencies in the student controller and resolve the namespace studentinfo.api.repository. So here we have. So initialize the dependency in the constructor first of all in the student controller. Now the next thing is to the first action method is related to the get all student, where just I want to get all the students. So just resolve task related system.threading.task. Here we have. The next method is get a student by their ID property and initial and add in the route, that is action, and the parameter is int ID. So here we have student repo.get student. The next one is HTTP put for the updating the student. So update student method is there. From body is the update student view model. So just use namespace error. So here we have. And first of all, check a student repository to existing ID. So update student repo.update student. So update student is not equals to null, then return OK. Now the next is HTTP delete. So delete the student by their ID property. First of all, check the student by their methods existing and delete student also. Now the add student is there by using their update student view model, and here we have the code to add to call the repository by their dependencies. Okay, so the next controller is genders controller. So here we have empty API and the genders controller. So the name is genders controller, and here is the code of genders controller. Genders controller iStudent repository to add the dependencies first and initialize the dependency in the constructor, and here we have a get all genders. Okay, so thank you guys for watching this video, and the next video I will test the API in the Postman. Okay, and the next video implement the Angular project in the third video. Thank you very much for watching.